everyone, this is Chris. Welcome back to the channel. So Warren Buffett is making some moves. Well, let's drive in. We'll look at it. He's actually buying up Taiwan Semi. It's pretty interesting, $4 billion. So, when you got an extra couple $1 billion laying around, why not get some Taiwan Semi? This is an interesting one because he generally doesn't buy this kind of stuff. I'll show you guys what I mean by that. So this is sort of their top holdings, and he has a ton of Apple, right? He's got Bank of America, he's got Chevron, Coca-Cola, American Express, Occidental, Kraft Heinz, Moody's, and Activision Blizzard, and then Taiwan Semi. So these are some of the holdings. And the reason why I say he doesn't usually buy this kind of stuff is you guys can see it here. I mean, he has mostly American stuff, which is really quite interesting. So, one of the things that I'm wondering, and I was just thinking out loud, is that, they announced that, and then we've been having sort of the chip war with U.S. and China, and I wonder if he's betting that that war is going to go longer, and that he thinks that the Chinese chip companies are going to suffer, and then and it's kind of interesting. I'm just saying, and then I was going to say the follow up with, and then the American ones are going to do good, but he didn't buy Intel, which I thought was very interesting because this is something that we talk about on the channel whenever I stream. Someone always talks about chips because I think chips are the future. That we're not going to have them. We're going to have chips in the future, is a better way to say it. And the other things that he's got here, I'm just looking at his holdings, and you guys can see this for yourself. It's not a huge holding. I mean, it's like 1.3% of his portfolio. So don't think, oh my God, he's YOLOing on Taiwan Semi. When you say $4 billion, it seems like a lot of money, and it is. But to him, it's 1.3% of his holdings. Now, whenever you hear about these kind of things, he sometimes he'll buy again and again and again, right? This could just be the start of many buys. We don't know. I don't know. You ask him, but I'm just sharing with you. The thing I thought was interesting though is I was looking at this here. Hold on, yeah, right here, is that he was also increasing his buys of Chevron and Occidental and Paramount. I noticed that Paramount. We talked about this one on the channel before, and we talked about Occidental also. Paramount has been really falling actually. So what I find interesting about this, I mean, you can look at this, guys, for yourself. Paramount has a dividend yield of 5.19, PE ratio of 4, like really low PE, and a decent dividend. Because when you compare the dividend yield of 5.19, and you have say bonds at 2-year at 4.37, yeah, you can grab an extra percent, but there is carry risk with Paramount. But Buffett is buying it up at these prices. So just telling you guys, I can't tell you the future 100%, but this is something that is happening. The other thing is too is it's interesting because when you look at his holdings as well, and I want you guys to understand this, you can't necessarily just completely mimic someone's holdings because they bought it in a different time than say what you bought, right? For some people, right, they could have bought 20 years ago, just for example. Or they could just be adding to a little bit every year. Out of these, I think Coca-Cola is your stalwart. Your Occidental or your Chevron are kind of your energy plays. It was interesting though, he was cutting some of his bank holdings. So Bank of America is still a big holding for them, but they were cutting. What were they cutting here? They were cutting U.S. Bank and BNY Bank, Mellon. I believe that's a bank. It's like Bank of New York Mellon, I think is what it is. And then also cutting GM, which I thought was kind of interesting, and Activision as well. And Activision is one of their earlier holds. I mean, I think they bought that. I want to say they bought that a year ago, so they still have some Activision in their holdings according to this. Let's see, where's Activision? Yeah, it's like 1.3. But I mean, he's overwhelmingly Apple and then Bank of America. One of the things that these kind of people can't. Well, I mean, they can. Theoretically, if Buffett wanted to, he could just go 100% cash. I'm just saying theoretically. The problem is like for them, when they buy things or sell things, they have so much of something that they can't just buy any company. They generally have to buy bigger market cap ones because let's say you're throwing $4 billion around. If you're buying like a small new company, you're like literally buying the whole company and then you own it. So he's always got to be careful in the stuff that he gets where he has to decide like how big of a literally ownership in the company. So for us, when we invest as retail investors, we're just investing a few shares and we're like 0.00001% of ownership. Whereas when he's buying something, he may end up getting like a 5% stake of the company, 10% stake of the company, stuff like that. So I'd love to hear what you guys' thoughts on this thing. Are you down with Taiwan Semi? Does this make sense to you? I would say the pros of Taiwan Semi is that it's not Chinese, and theoretically, I think it was Taiwan Semi is building a plant in Arizona that they will benefit from the U.S.-China relations souring and maybe U.S. investment in Taiwan Semi. The other pro would be, yes, chips are going to be around forever. It's got a decent dividend. It has a decent PE. The negatives I think would be for Taiwan Semi is, what if Apple's sales are going to decline the next year or so, because we're going into recession? What if we keep doing quit doing consumer products, those kind of things? And also too, the chip industry is cyclical, meaning that during the pandemic, everyone was buying all these chip related products, and then things shot up like crazy. And then now we're going to be on the downturn, and for how long? Now, yes, buy low, sell high. So according to Buffett, this is the downturn, and that's sort of what's going on. So Taiwan Semi again, I think if I had to guess, so we don't know exactly what price, but he probably bought it like around here, maybe 62, something like that. The lowest was like 60, but I would willing to bet he's buying around here, because one of the things is that once he starts buying, the price goes up, and it's very difficult for him to buy low forever, right? There's only so much time it's going to be at the bottom. Is this the ultimate bottom for Taiwan Semi? So I was looking at the 5-year chart here. You guys can see this. So if we go to the bottom of the pandemic, back in 2020, that would be 44, right? And then also too, like you could say, well, go pre-pandemic, meaning like what was life before that, and that would give it a price of 58. It's hard to say. I personally am not super bullish on chips right now. That's just my opinion. Obviously, Buffett is way more successful than all of us, right? He's really good. But one thing I would say that there's a couple things that people get wrong in the stock market. So one is, some people look at the numbers and they say, okay, according to my numbers, this should be a screaming buy, or this should be a screaming sell, right? However, it is also a market of people. So one is, yes, you can look at numbers, but you have to understand there is people. And if someone like Buffett says, you know what, I'm going to buy it, then it won't go any lower. The same way that Elon Musk is like, you know what, I'm going to buy Twitter at X amount, and that's the price I'm going to buy it for. So that's a combination of two things. So I bring that up because sometimes people say, oh, Chris, it's just PE. I was waiting for that PE. Why didn't it ever get there? Or I didn't buy it at the right time. Or, maybe I paid too much. Well, it depends what the market says, right? The market doesn't always go with PE. I'm not saying you shouldn't pay attention to PE. I mean, I'm saying you should, but I'm just also saying just be aware that there are human beings involved with this stuff. Oftentimes, there's a couple things going on in the market. One is we have a sort of basically robotic trading. And robotic trading is kind of crazy because headlines come out, reports come out of companies, and like instantly stocks will move, right? So basically, the robots are doing stuff. I'm actually not sure if Buffett has like robot algorithms and stuff like that. I'm sure he does. I mean, I'm sure they do the calculations over there and stuff like that. But what I mean is like, does he have machines that are tied to the headlines where they automatically buy and stuff like that? Who knows? And I could ask him, but I don't think he's going to share what his stuff is. And he tries to keep stuff secret, right? Because once he starts buying, everyone follows him basically. Anyway, I loved it. Boy, was it up 11% in the pre-market? Yeah. It was up quite a bit. So sorry to tell you guys late that he was buying it, but I just like to just to show you what he's doing. And sometimes these things usually calm down after a couple of days. Like everyone follows Buffett, and a couple of days later it may calm back down. So that I can't tell you exactly what it's going to do. I myself am still bearish on the market as a whole, but just want to share this information with you. So anyway, that's it. Buffett bought Taiwan Semi. That's some thoughts of the market. Thanks again for your time, and I'll catch you next video.